Okay, welcome back. This is basically a follow-up video on my usage of the Intel Arc 770. I have now used it for 7 months, and you can also go back to my older videos and you will see the first video I made when I changed from GeForce 2070 to the Intel Arc. This is now a follow-up video, and yeah, this is going to be the slideshow video. I know it's somewhat of a strange format, but I'm sorry, my editing skills is not good at all. I've basically never edited videos, only merged a few ones, so yeah, it is like it is. I started using the Acer Predator BiFrost Intel Arc back in February this year, so I've used it for about 7 months. So this is a sum up of my experience with it. First, a few pointers here. As I said, this is not a typical YouTube video. I know the format is kind of strange, but it is what it is. This is just to show a few new benchmarks and sum up my experience basically using the card for these 7 months. There will be no fancy graphs or similar. I've just written down the benchmark numbers, and as you can see on the slides, there will be no fancy graphics, just as earlier. And as I said, this is a summary of using the Intel Arc for about 7 months. And yeah, it's not a typical YouTube video, sorry for that. First, this were also included in the first video. This is how to set up your computer to use the Intel Arc, and this is on the AMD platform. You can just see the settings here, and these have to it has to be set up like this, or you will not get maximum performance or normal function from the card. So basically these are the settings that has been enabled or disabled. And also direct storage has to be used, or yeah, it has to be enabled and supported by the computer to get the full performance of the card, so to say. If it's not active, you will get worse performance. You can also check in-game by I guess there are several ways to check this, but one way to check it is to basically open the Windows game bar and go to settings and game functions. Then a bit down on the page it will say direct storage active or direct storage newest or all functions or something like that. I'm pretty sure there are also other ways to check this. This is the specifications of my computer. It has been the same for basically all 3 graphic cards. So the only change during these 3 graphic cards has been the graphic card itself. It was like this from the first NVIDIA, and then to the Intel, and then to the AMD 7900 XTX. Everything has been tested in 1440p, and there has been of course driver changes, but no other hardware changes at all. Only the GPUs has been swapped out. So the test results should be pretty, how should I say this, pretty correct. There shouldn't be other factors than, of course, drivers, new versions of Windows 11 and stuff like that, but no major other changes. There are a few things that are still valid as of now, as they were when I started to use the Intel in my first video. Let me just go through the list. A game like Dark Tide, for some reason, I'm not sure, I never got it to work on my AMD computer. It ran, I got it to run, but the problem is the whole screen was basically black. Only thing you can see were the icons, the name tags of the players, so you're in the game, but basically everything outside of the name tags were rendered in black, so it was completely unplayable. One problem I had all the time with Intel Arc is that some Unreal games, I'm talking about a bit older Unreal games, were not able to run properly on the AMD with the Intel Arc. What happened is the internal GPU in the CPU were set as default for the game. I was not able to change it, even going into game bar and forcing it to high performance or whatever it's called. It didn't change. It was like this the whole time. So the only way I could run these games was to manually disable the internal GPU in the CPU in Windows. When I did that, it defaulted to the Intel Arc and everything worked properly. Then some information about IDA 64. I've been using IDA 64 for many years now, since it was called Lava Lease or something like that. And I have, as I said, used it for many years, but I'm a bit disappointed of the lack of support for both Intel Arc GPU and also the AMD CPUs. There are several things it cannot post the stats for. It cannot basically it cannot show stats for a lot of stuff that other programs like hardware info, for example, can show. So I'm a bit disappointed at that. When it comes to the Intel driver team, I would say they are very active. There is new drivers very often, and also you should not be scared to use beta drivers for Intel. I have not run into any problems with beta drivers, etc. So you should not be scared to use beta drivers for the Intel Arc. That comes directly from Intel. Those are the only drivers I'm referring to. So yeah, I really not have directly driver problems installing or whatever, but outside of the issues with Darktide and Unreal games, it's been really a smooth ride with Intel graphics card. I really cannot say I have anything to complain about. And also the driver team, I'm impressed with how many drivers they're putting out and the support for the card. Or should I say cards, because there are several models. So first, why did I get an Intel Arc in the first place 7 months ago? Well, that's a bit of a long story. Last generation, the 6000 series for AMD and the 3000 series for NVIDIA was really expensive here in Norway. So expensive I didn't want actually to pay that much money for it. So I never got around to getting anything from that generation. I basically skipped the whole generation. Then the Intel Arc were dropped, and to begin with I didn't bother. I didn't check any reviews, anything, because I didn't have a good impression of it, as very many people have. The same situation. A lot of people don't think about Intel graphics card at all. But what happened is that in some games the Intel Arc 770 were actually doing as good or even past some of the best graphic cards from Intel, from AMD, and also the Intel Arc had 16 gigabytes of VRAM. So, and also at that time there were very few people doing videos about this graphic card. So I kind of jumped the gun. I got the Intel Arc basically under half the price of what a similar AMD card would be. So I wanted to try it out. What happened the end of summer, beginning of fall this year here in Norway is that ASRock started to having campaigns for the 7900 XTX card. They have also other AMD cards, graphics card for sale, and the prices they were basically putting out were severely below the competition. So Because of that, and also because they were including the Starfield game in the price, I jumped the gun and finally got a new graphics card that were, how should I say this, all over a better graphics card. So I got the ASRock model, the Phantom Gaming model of the 7900 XTX, and I got that because of the price. The price from on the ASRock card were far below the price of the brands, the competition. So that is why I got it. And as of now, I plan to use this card for, let's say, 1 or 2 generations at least, because of course there will be changes in AI, there will be changes in ray tracing, but I'm pretty sure I should be able to use this card for at least 1 or 2 years more without any problems running new games, but we'll see. So that was a little bit of why in the first place I got the Intel and why I now got the AMD card. So let's take a look at some benchmarks. Some of these benchmarks has only been run on some computers, some graphics card. I've not rerun all the benchmarks for the AMD card. I have gone through this before, but now you can see that I have added the AMD 7900 XTX for the most of the tests. This is the Riftbreaker demo on Steam. It's just the demo, it's not the full game, and you can run that demo in 2 modes, CPU test and GPU test. And as you can see here, these are the results. I've earlier, as you know, if you've seen the earlier video, I have earlier posted this the benchmark scores for the NVIDIA card and the ARC card, but now I've also added for the AMD. So I'm not going to repeat everything. You can see the numbers here. And as you can see, there is a significant jump going from the Intel ARC to the AMD card in this game. Then Grim Dawn. Grim Dawn is somewhat of a difficult game to test because this is, first and foremost, it's an old game. So I just had to use the same character using the same buffs, graphic effects for all the tests, and I've done so for these tests for these cards. As you can see, it's going from NVIDIA card to the Intel ARC. I actually had a drop in performance, but when I got to the AMD 7900 XTX, you can see that there were a significant jump up again in performance. Then we can see the next test, which is Total War Warhammer 2, not the 3 version, but 2 on Steam. As you can see, those are the settings I've used. It's full screen, 4014p, and Ultra. And these are the test results. First for the battle benchmark, you can see it was a jump from the NVIDIA to Intel, and then a significant jump up to the AMD card. The camping benchmark, you had also here we had a smaller jump from NVIDIA to ARC, but a significant jump once again from the ARC to the AMD card. A Skaven benchmark was basically the benchmark most similar in benchmark score, so here was a small jump up to the Intel ARC and a little bit bigger jump to the AMD, but not severely, actually. That's, as far as I can remember, that benchmark is the most demanding, the Skaven one. For Valheim, this is also a game that is not, of course, not easy to benchmark. You have to try to use the same save game, you have to try to be standing at the same place, etc. So that is basically what I did. I went outside the base in the game, the same base, the same location, looking in the same direction for the graphics card. I don't have the score for the Intel. I don't have the score for NVIDIA from this one. But as far as I could remember, there was a small jump going from the NVIDIA to Intel, and also a significant jump going from the Intel to the AMD, as you can see here. Moving on to Horizon Zero Dawn. This is the complete edition of Steam. You can see the settings, quality, 4014, upscaling, etc. This game has been tested in different modes, and as I'm not gonna go through all the numbers and stuff, but you can pause it and read it. There were somewhat, how should I say it, more or less similar going from NVIDIA to Intel Arc, but actually in some tests the NVIDIA card did slightly better than Intel. But you can see a significant jump from the NVIDIA and Intel up to the AMD card. A significant jump. As I said, not everything has been tested with every card, so then we can continue. We have the Cyberpunk 2077. All these tests were done before 2.0 version of the game. The tests were done in the same version, not the same patch, but in the same version of the game before the big upgrade to 2.0. I'm not gonna go through everything. You can see the settings here, you can see the scores. In short, high settings with no upscaling at all. You can see that the NVIDIA and Intel were pretty much on par with each other, but there were a significant jump once again going to the AMD card. Then I have, as you can see, some tests I have not done with the AMD card. I've not done everything again. We continue with the Cyberpunk, and here is a comparison with ray tracing set to maximum, and you can see that this is with no upscaling of any kind. So it's just plain pure ultra settings, ray tracing max, 4014p, etc. And as you can see, these numbers are of course very low, but because that is due to absolutely no upscaling at all. But you can see there is basically a doubling of FPS going from Intel to AMD. Then a little bit more realistic test when we have ultra settings and we have FSR used. You see there is both a boost for the Intel and the AMD, but of course the AMD is doubled, more or less, almost doubled. So, and then it's also doubled the scores of the Intel still. So also with ultra settings, with the ray tracing, you can see all the specifics I've chosen here. You can see the ray tracing score for the Intel Arc in Cyberpunk is far lower than it is for the AMD card. Let's move on. What I thought, that was basically the end of the benchmarks. I have tried to retest the same games, and as I did with the first video, I had some more games I was talking about in the first video, but I simply didn't want to retest everything. And this video were also planned to be out for like a month ago or something like that, but due to one reason, due to moving to a new house, there's a lot of things to do and a lot of things to fix. When you are getting a new house, and this is a newly built house, if you ever is in that situation, you will understand that even if it's completely finished, there is still a lot of stuff to do, like wardrobes, for example. So my making of this video has kind of been postponed and postponed, but I wanted to try to make it now, so we'll see how it turns out. So to sum it up, all up, the Intel Arc graphics card will be most likely put in my second computer. I have two computers for how should I say that, my gaming setup, and I'm pretty sure the Intel Arc will also work very nicely on the Intel CPU, because the other computer has an Intel platform, and I'm pretty sure it will not be some of the similar problems there as it was on the AMD platform, because I have a sneaking suspicion one of the reasons for the problems with the Intel Arc on the AMD card, or should I say of course the AMD PC, I'm pretty sure is due to the platform. Running the Intel Arc on AMD platform, I do not think is the best idea. If you have an Intel computer platform, you have the motherboard and CPU and everything, I'm pretty sure you will not run into some of the problems I have had on my AMD PC. When it comes to making more Intel Arc videos, I don't think there will be any more if not something very special comes up. There are other people making far better videos than me, and they are also putting out a lot of videos. So there is, I really don't see the point. I don't see the audience for it. I don't basically can kinda justify me using more time on this. Some of my videos on the Intel Arc has done really good, but in general, not very good. There has been some, as I said, there has been up to 2,000 and beyond that in views, but it's really not worth it. There are, as I said, other people making far better videos on the Intel Arc than me. But I will try to stream more, and I've also streamed once to try it out, streaming to YouTube with AV1 encoding. As of now, you cannot stream to Twitch, sadly, with AV1, so far I'm only streaming to YouTube with AV1. I have earlier done streaming to several platforms at once using Restream, but that is not the point when I have this issue with Twitch not supporting AV1. So we'll see what we do about that. So far, you guys can go back to the other videos if you want to. As a sum up, I have not written it here, but as a sum up, I would say that the Intel card is absolutely, at the time I bought it, it was absolutely worth the money. I do not regret getting the card at all. The only thing I want to point out that is, if you are at this time considering buying this card, it may be better to buy one of the cheaper AMD cards, maybe even Nvidia, but you have to look into it. But if I should at this time consider buying the Intel Arc, I'm not so sure I would have done it. I'm pretty sure I would have landed on one of the cheaper AMD cards. Nvidia is still expensive, and here in Norway also the AMD cards are expensive, but I guess I would end there. But all in all, I would say the Intel Arc is a good card. I have the Acer version. It's a really nice card. It's really nice looking. I had no problems, and to me at least, it's a big plus that actually the fan, the cooling solution, blows the hot air out of the computer. That is for me a big plus. I know somebody do not like this type of cooler or fan because they are usually louder, more noisy, but I have not really had a noise problem with the Intel Arc card from the Acer. It pushed almost all the hot air out of the card. You get it out of the box, out of your PC. The hot air is not stuck in the PC. And for me at least, that was a big plus. I would also consider getting AMD card if any had the same type of cooler, but nobody has. So I actually like the blower fan on the Intel card, but that is me. It was a big plus for me to be able to have the hot air out of the PC box. So yeah, if there anything special you want me to follow up, but I'm not sure how much follow-up there will be. You can write a comment or something. But as far as now, the Intel card is going to go into the second computer. And if I start streaming more, I'm guessing that computer will be the streaming computer. We'll see. And the AMD card, as far as this I've used it so far, is the only thing I would say I don't like about it is, as I said, just plainly the AMD cards don't have the blower fan. They don't have the blower cooler, and they do make noise. Of course they do, and all the hot air is inside the computer. So The Intel Arc is easier to use if you have a small computer case, if you have basically computer case that don't have great cooling or great airflow, especially airflow. I would, if possible, consider getting a blower card because it gets the hot air out. But anyway, I'm into the phase where I start rambling on and on, so I think we're just gonna cut it short. If there's anything special you want to see, either with the AMD card or the Intel card on the Intel platform, Intel PC, you can let me know. If not, leave a comment, anything you like, and I will try to do more streaming. But so far my schedule has been busy. So there are a lot of stuff to follow up with the new house, and also there is a lot of stuff going on. So my game time has been far lower than I hoped for. But yeah, thank you for watching, and let me know if there anything else you want me to look into or report back on. Okay, thank you. Bye.